Hello everybody and welcome back to the channel. My name is Matt and I do like video games, and in today's video we have to talk a little bit about PlayStation, something that I don't do often here on the channel. It's quite rare that we have a PlayStation video here on the channel, but that's exactly what this is today. So let's get into it. So let me just really quick walk you through my morning, right? I wake up, I make myself some breakfast, I get a drink. Well, then I remember, oh crap, that's right, they're announcing a PS5 Pro today. So I get on Twitter to just see some key details, and then I figured I'll watch the video later, right? Well, the biggest detail I saw, the most key detail I saw, was that this thing is $699. And I'm just talking about in the US. It is $699 US for the PlayStation 5 Pro. And let me phrase this perfectly, okay? The PS5 Pro doesn't start at $699. It is $699. There is one variant of the PS5 Pro. It is a digital variant of the PS5 Pro. $699 for a digital-only console. Think about that. Now, is the PS5 Pro an improvement over the base PS5? Absolutely, sure. And in a few ways, it definitely is. In the most important way, or at least the most important way for games nowadays, it seems, Space Marine 2 is a very good example of this. The CPU is the exact same CPU that you find in a base PS5. Where the improvement comes along is on the GPU side of things. And I'm not going to dive super into things because honestly, there's a lot of stuff about tech that I don't know. I'm still learning so much about stuff, like every time I'm online talking about tech. But basically, what they said in their presentation was you take a fidelity mode from a PS5 game where you're used to playing at 30 FPS, and people say, I want to play at 60 FPS. Okay, so the PS5 Pro is going to be able to take that fidelity mode and say, here you go. Now you're playing the fidelity mode at 60 FPS. Fantastic, right? That's very cool. And that really would be fantastic if it wasn't $700. That's asking too much. That's asking too much from people, honestly. I even saw Jeff Keighley's tweet, and I'll try to put it here in the video so you guys can see it. It said, here are the inflation-adjusted prices for mainline PlayStation consoles since launch. And he mentions the PS1, the PS2, the PS3, the PS4, the PS4 Pro, the PS5, and now the PS5 Pro. The PS5 Pro, like I've said it multiple times in this video, $700. The PS5, the base version, the disc-based version from 2020, adjusted for inflation, costs $606. $606 adjusted for inflation for the base PS5 disc version from 2020, right? Think about last generation. What did the PS4 cost when it launched last generation? Cost $399. In fact, that was a huge selling point, a massive win for PlayStation over the original Xbox One, was because the Xbox One bundled in the Kinect and it was $499 versus the PlayStation 4's $399. That was a much friendlier price for consumers, right? Fast forward a couple years after that, what does the PS4 Pro launch at? $399. It launches at $399. And by that time, the base PS4 had already come down to $299. You were paying $300 for a base PS4. In fact, it was the PS4 Slim at that time. $299 for the base PS4, $399 for the PS4 Pro when it launched. Versus this generation, for some ass backwards reason, and it's not just Sony doing this, by the way. Xbox does this as well. The only difference is Xbox didn't shaft us with a pro console at the end of it, right? Versus PlayStation this generation, right? It launched at $500 for the disc-based PS5, and the prices, instead of going down, have only gone up, which is the exact opposite of what should be happening, because as time goes on in the generation, just like it did last generation and the generation before that, it costs less for them to manufacture those consoles. The fact that it costs less for them to manufacture a base PS5 and a base PS5 digital means that those prices should go down. The PS5 digital right now should be $299. and the PS5 disc-based version should be $399. And this Pro should come in at $499. And then on the Xbox side of things, the Series S 512GB should be $199. The 1TB Series S should be $249.99. The Series X 1TB should be $399. And then the Series X 2TB should be $499. That's how things should be priced for both companies right now. But for some reason, instead of those prices going down on both sides, they're going up on both sides. And we keep giving them this like false excuse of, oh, inflation, you know, what can you do? Inflation, it is what it is. That's not inflation. That's artificial inflation because, like I said, it costs them less money to manufacture that box. It shouldn't be costing you more money to then buy it. That's just crazy. The PS5 Pro isn't $699 because it needs to be $699. It's $699 because they think they can make it $699 and people will buy it anyway. And honestly, we'll find out if that's true, but that's why they're doing it. I mean, I know for me personally, I'm not getting a PS5 Pro. I was already kind of not feeling a Pro console before this announcement and before all the things they talked about and that small 9-minute presentation from Mark Cerny. I was already not really feeling buying a Pro console. After seeing that presentation and certainly after seeing that fucking price, I'm all set. I'm all good. I'm not buying a Pro console. You out of your mind? I'm just gonna sit back, I'm gonna relax, I'm gonna wait for next gen. And when next gen comes, depending on how these consoles are priced, I'll probably end up getting just the Xbox and then upgrade my PC. Because I'll tell you what, if we're talking $600, $700 starting price for the next generation of consoles, I'm not buying both of those bitches on day one. No, I don't have money like that. I quite frankly don't have money like that where I can drop $1,200 on 2 consoles in a day. That's just not, I'm not balling like that right now. And I'll tell you another thing. As you guys know, this channel is primarily Xbox focused, and this does affect Xbox. This absolutely does affect Xbox. And I'll tell you how. Xbox, or Microsoft, I should say, they probably watched that PS5 Pro launch, and they're like sitting back and they're going like, oh, $700. And they're probably taking note of how people are reacting to it online because people aren't happy about that price tag online. But you know what? None of that matters. Thousands, hundreds and hundreds of thousands, millions of us can get online and complain about the price. What these companies are going to look at is when this thing launches, when those pre-orders go live, how quickly does that sell out? And if it sells out like that, Microsoft is going to take note of that and they're going to be like, hey, if they can sell a console for $700, what's stopping us from selling our next Xbox at $700? And you already know PlayStation's looking at it because they're the ones doing it. If it sells out like that, PlayStation's going to be like, whoa, all right, well, you guys said you didn't like the price tag, but it doesn't seem like you mind because you keep buying it. Why not launch the PS6 at $700? Like, I think those are very real scenarios. And hopefully, you know, this thing does or doesn't do well enough that becomes the scenario. But I don't know, because I see a lot of people online saying that they don't want this and it's not worth it. They're not going to pay $700. But when push comes to shove, when it's actually out, are people going to actually stick to that? I already know where I stand. I'm not buying that thing. But what about everyone else? What about you guys? I have no idea. But at $700, even for a Pro console, even for a Pro variant, and what's so confusing about it is the next generation isn't that far off. What do you think? Maybe 2 years? 2.5 years? Maybe even 3? You're going to get less time with your PS5 Pro than you would have gotten with your base PS5 if you bought it at launch. But you're paying more for the Pro than you did for the PS5 when you got it at launch. Like, again, that math just doesn't make sense to me. And also, like I was about to say, at $700, it feels like it's not the value choice. A console's not the value choice at $700. I don't care what's in the console, it's not the value choice at $700. I also went over to PC Part Picker here and put together 3 parts lists for PCs. I'm just going to go through this very quickly because I know nobody's really here to see this content, but in case you're interested, the first PC costs $728, so about $730 pre-tax. This basically is a better CPU than what's in the PS5 and the PS5 Pro. This also features a GPU that is somewhere in between the PS5 and the PS5 Pro. And that is for $730. The second one is $854, a much better CPU than what's in the PS5 and PS5 Pro. Features different RAM, obviously on a different platform. And then for the GPU, the same exact GPU. So again, somewhere in between the PS5 and the PS5 Pro for the GPU, but a much better CPU than the PS5 or the PS5 Pro. And then the third one, again, much better CPU than the PS5 or PS5 Pro. And the difference in this one is that it features a 7700 XT, which is roughly equivalent to what you will find in the PS5 Pro. The PS5 Pro might be a little bit better or a little bit worse. I do know Sony's working on its own technologies like AI upscaling and also their own frame generation. I believe they're working on their own frame generation, so maybe that's better than AMD's, or maybe it's slightly worse. We don't know yet. We'll find out. But this is the price for this PC, $944. And the point of this whole little exercise isn't to prove that you can build a PC that's equivalent to the PS5 Pro for less than the PS5 Pro, because you can't. Unless you're willing to go on the used market for parts, which most people really aren't willing to do that. I mean, it's cool that you can. It's cool to save a couple bucks here and there if you find a deal, but most people want new parts. So you can't build a PC with new parts that is equivalent to the PS5 Pro. It's just not possible. But instead, this whole exercise was about the fact that the gap between console and console equivalent PC used to be like this. It used to be like this. Now it's about like this in terms of the price. Which for me personally, and I can only speak for myself, $700 at that point, $700 is expensive enough for me to go like, you know what? I'd rather just spend the extra 30 bucks, or I'd rather just spend the extra 150 bucks, or I'd rather just spend the extra 250 bucks. But I don't know, guys. This is just how I'm feeling about this whole PS5 Pro thing. This this completely caught me by surprise. I was fully expecting $600, which again is more than it should cost, but whatever, $600, it is what it is. But $700 for a console with no disk drive, and keep in mind, like, one of the cool things about consoles traditionally is that they have disk drives so that you can, buy games on the used market. You can buy them for cheap, play them, you can sell them, you can resell them and everything. Well, you can always save money, I should say, with a disc-based console, because you're getting good deals on physical copies of games and you're reselling them and everything, right? Or you're trading games with your friends and whatnot. When you take that out of the equation on top of all this, that lessens even further the value proposition for the console. I don't know, guys. Am I just out of pocket with this one? Because like I look online and the general sentiment is that $700 for this thing is completely insane. I don't know, guys. Leave a comment below. Let me know what your thoughts on this are. Are you getting a PS5 Pro? Are you not getting one? Are you surprised by the price, or is this what you were expecting? Leave that in the comments below. Leave a like if you like the video, and if you're enjoying this kind of content, you want to stay up to date with it going forward over here on the channel, the best way to do that is consider subscribing. Consider ringing that notification bell, because that helps you stay up to date with everything that happens over here on the channel, and it helps promote me, and the algorithm helps push the videos out to way more people, and I always appreciate that. And with that being said, thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next video.